can't believe I would see these people again in this movie. Like, just all these cameos, all these Easter eggs, just so much stuff. This movie had me. This Deadpool and Wolverine movie had me like, what the? What up, people? It's your boy, Marv Lad. And this is Nerds in the Hood. Nerds in the Hood, y'all. This is my show. We do every chance we get. We just gotta jump right into it, y'all. This is just a podcast for people who are energetic about certain subjects, especially niche interest. That is the definition of a nerd. And we are doing this for the hood, for the culture, for every nerd out there. But we gotta talk about something. Like I told y'all, you've seen I made a video where I was like, the whole purpose of being a nerd in the hood, of what it was like. And I told you guys that when we were younger, a lot of us, we read comic book films. When we were younger, we read comic books. And people would look at us and laugh at us because of the heroes we idolized and tried to portray and quote what they quoted and stuff like that, you know, and people would look at you and go, man, you a nerd, you lame, you a dork. And this is proof of what I just said. Because the number one film right now, comic book movies came and took over. They're the mainstream of movies. They're one of the biggest genres of movies, highest grossing of movies outside of animation itself. And even animation has their own successful comic book films. If you look at Ninja Turtles or Spider-Man, even Batman when he has his moments. And right now, the number one film in the country, probably the globe. I'm pretty sure it's the globe. Number one, let's just say it. Let's just call it, because we know it's the truth. We know it's already facts. The number one movie in the world is a comic book film, once again. And that is Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I know we have we've made our movie review counter, which was valid. It's alright. And this ain't it. No. This is automatic valid. This is automatic valid. This is valid with a capital V. You know what I'm saying? This is valid at its finest right here. I am very proud to say that. I went to see this movie this past weekend with my movie pass. You know what I mean? And this was worth the movie pass. This is why we get movie pass, people. This is what we do. If you saw this movie this weekend, shout out to you. And I'm going to give you one reason why. Ain't no other reason but this. If you saw this movie this weekend, God bless you, because you were spared of the millions and millions of spoilers that were posted all over the internet. No matter where you went, there was a spoiler for this movie already posted. I went to YouTube the minute, like a day after I saw the movie, went to YouTube, and all over YouTube, people were already spoiling the biggest parts of the movie. Not just any part, the biggest parts, the biggest Easter eggs, the biggest cameo appearances. They were already spoiling it. TikTok already spoiling it. Instagram already spoiling it. Threads, everywhere you went. X, everywhere you went, things was getting spoiled. It was insane. So, no shout out to you people that was spoiling it, that was too hyped because you already saw it. Now you want to post it for clickbait and hope that you won't get 1 million views because now people are seeing this one clip to make them go to the movies. I don't know if you're a Disney plant or a Marvel plant, but that still wasn't cool. But if you already saw the movie, then these clips meant nothing to you. So shout out to you for that. And this was the number one reason I knew I had to see this movie before the end of its opening weekend. Because I knew this was going to happen. This is too big of a film for this to not happen. You know what I'm saying? Too big of a film for this to not happen. Any other film, probably people wouldn't even have cared if it got posted. Hell, the people that would have wanted posted it would have known they wouldn't even got views. But this is not only the biggest movie of the summer, it was the biggest movie of the year. It was the biggest movie for the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. in my personal opinion. It's been the biggest movie for them since Endgame. It is the best Marvel movie in the MCU since, you know what? I am going to say since Endgame. Black Panther 2 was good. It was good. But it obviously, because of everything that transpired with Chadwick Boseman, them having to make a new story and everything, it still was able to do its justice. Excuse me. But it just wasn't able to reach the first one. So to me, that was by default at the time, like the best Marvel movie, in my opinion. And then this movie came out, and now it's those two. And then we got more on the way, which I'm going to talk about in another video, so make sure you check that out. For right now, though, we focusing on Deadpool and Wolverine. This was a really great send-off and love letter to the Fox movie franchise. Because if you don't know by now, Fox was acquired by Disney. So most of Fox properties, if not all of them, now belong to the Disney Corporation. That's why when you watch Hulu, a lot of shows that were on FX now are on Hulu, such as The Bear, such as, Better Things, a lot of other shows like that. And a lot of other shows that were just FX already are now Hulu-based shows. So when you see that, you know now that this is all a big thing in terms of their merger. Disney, at this point, basically owns the hottest properties you could think of, including Marvel, including Star Wars, the Muppets, for crying out loud, ESPN, the ABC Corporation, and Fox, just to name a few. They own more stuff, but I didn't want to go too much into it. So this is a beautiful send-off and love letter to those Fox movies. Because we forget, right? Back in the day, these were the movies. This was in itself its own MCU, even though these movies weren't connected. This was a default MCU. This was like the pre-course of the MCU, if you want to call it, the appetizers before the main event. It was like you were taking a beginner, like a pre-test before the test. And these movies were just so trash. And we always look back and we laughed and we laughed. We were like, oh my gosh, who made this? This is garbage. Why they make this? When are they going to make better movies? And then in 2008, we were blessed with Iron Man 1 starring Robert Downey Jr. And the rest was history from there. Now, Fox was still trying during that time. They had their X-Men First Class series with the younger Xavier and Magneto, which were most of their movies are hit or miss. Wolverine was still doing his solo movies. Fantastic Four tried one more time. And then by that point, we had Deadpool. And then we were like, oh, okay, we kind of forgive you. But I'm just going to throw this out here before I keep going with this. Spoiler alert. But at this point, like I said, everybody online has already spoiled this movie. You can pretty much find each clip of the movie online somewhere and watch the movie for free at this point. Don't blame me, Disney. This is online. I wouldn't be surprised if Disney's already headhunting for people who are posting these clips all over social media. Anywho, this movie, like I said, love letter to what it was. It was an ode to the old school movies of Fox. And for you Gen Zers that don't know or are too young, this was between like the late 90s with Blade. Blade started it off. Blade was the best of the series. And then X-Men came, and X-Men was all right. It was all right. The first one was okay. The second one was great. And the third one was like, all right, we're done here. X-Men Origins Wolverine, garbage. Both Fantastic Fours. The first one and Rise of the Silver Surfer, garbage. Incredible Hulk, hot doo-doo. Tobey Maguire Spider-Man wasn't Fox, but those were good too. The Punisher and the Punisher Warzone, straight garbage. They were bad. And then you have, Daredevil with Ben Affleck. Jennifer Garner was bad. Elektra with Jennifer Garner was bad. Am I forgetting any garbage movies? Oh, Hulk. Whew. If I didn't say it before, I'm going to say it again. Hulk was bad. Hulk was so bad. It could have had a lot of memes had the internet been stronger and more out back then. But it was bad. Hulk was bad. And we don't talk about this enough. And we probably shouldn't, but I'm going to. Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider was terrible. Both of them. Both movies. He made two of them, and they were both terrible. And then, of course, the Fantastic Four, Michael B. Jordan. Like I said, there were probably a lot more that I'm not saying, but all of these movies were so terrible back in the day that you were like, I don't even know what we're doing. And for those of you who saw Channing Tatum as Gambit, he never got to play Gambit. But there was a movie where he was supposed to, that was supposed to be in the works where he played Gambit, just his own solo movie. It just never worked out. But outside of that, to show Wesley Snipes' Blade in the movie, to show Jennifer Garner as Elektra, to show Chris Evans as Johnny Blaze, Johnny Storm, that was cool. Because these were the movies we had to endure during that time. And again, like I said, Blade had two good movies. The third one was bad. But they were still fire. That was what it was. This was my childhood. I had to watch these movies walk so the MCU could run. And Deadpool, too many heroes with the letter D. Deadpool was the movie that was allowed to be good, but also be good because of the movies that came before it. So when this third movie brought those characters and other ones back, like Juggernaut, Pyro, The Russian, and others, it allowed us to say goodbye in our own way. And I didn't even know I wanted to say goodbye. It was more like good riddance. But this was cool because we're in an era of nostalgia. Everything we do is about nostalgia. Everything we make is about nostalgia. So we want that type of vibe. It's nostalgia is just where it is. So with that being said, that was more of my focus on the movie. But this movie was really good from a comic book perspective, from a movie fan's perspective, and from a nerd's perspective. I was very hyped throughout most of the movie because I knew most of the characters that were making the cameos, and I was paying attention to most of the story that was going on within the whole MCU. The way they tied in Loki, the way they tied in Deadpool, the way they tied in Wolverine. So long story short, this movie was about the fact, I'm not even going to go into full detail about the movie, but what I am going to say is the movie was more about the fact that they needed to find a cool way to bring Wolverine into the MCU, and they did by using the events and the stage of the Loki universe into Deadpool's and combining them into one feature-length film. And the result, chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. This was a really good film. It's valid. If you haven't seen it yet, you're wilding for respect. You need to go see this movie. It's really good. Some of my favorite parts, like I said, was the cameos that came through with Wesley Snipes' Blade, Elektra. But we also got Ryan Reynolds' wife. And there was a lot of what Ryan Reynolds has done over the years kind of thrown in. Him mentioning his movies like The Proposal and Van Wilder. And then his wife being involved in the movie. And I believe his daughter was Babypool, which was a variant of Deadpool. His wife was Lady Deadpool. Even if you didn't see the movie, you saw the commercials where she walks out. Oh, let's not forget X-23 was in it, who was in the Logan movie, which wasn't a bad movie, but she was part of it. I also like the fact that, low-key, a lot of people don't know this, Matthew McConaughey was in the film. He voiced a cowboy Deadpool. And there was a Wrexham player from the soccer team that Ryan Reynolds co-owns. He was in the film. Rob McElhenney, I'm going to mess up his name, but the guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I think it's Rob McElhenney. I'm going to mess up his name. I apologize in advance. He was in the film too. I believe he was one of the TVA show, henchmen. But there was a lot of different cameos, which was crazy, outside of the people who were already starring in the film. And I was all for it. I was ready for this film from February when they first released commercials and trailers for it. And I'm so glad that we're here right now at this moment to talk about it. I couldn't have waited any longer. The way this reshapes what's to come, now we have hope. Because we got to remember, outside of Black Panther 2, there was the Marvels, which was Captain Marvel 2. Was there any other movies like Eternals and stuff like that? It wasn't really a lot of Marvel movies that was hitting the mark. There was Spider-Man, No Way Home, Black Panther 2. The Marvels wasn't bad. It just didn't hit. And then in TV shows, it was the same boat too with Secret Invasion. Marvel was on a crazy wave where a lot of their shows wasn't it. A lot of them wasn't hitting. Some of them was trash. And now we got this. and then we got Agatha All Alone on Disney Plus coming later this year. Maybe this would be like the comeback season from the little drought they was having in quality. You know what I'm saying? It was dipping in quality. And this movie helped bring that back because this is Deadpool and Wolverine being introduced to the MCU. I'm here for it. I tip my hat off to Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy, who helped make this film possible. But I also tip my hat off to the fact that at the end of the movie, if you stick around, there's an end credit scene, which is like, yeah, you can stick around for laughs. But you always know the golden rule of Marvel Cinematic Movies is you never leave until the movie ends. Never. Ever. Even if the credit scene is trash. But there was a mid-credit scene, so to speak, where during the credits, they made a montage using Green Day's Hope You Have the Time of Your Life. And they were just showing behind-the-scenes footage of when Hugh Jackman first got the Wolverine role and he was first getting into it, and Wesley Snipes when he was younger as Blade, and Jennifer Garner as Elektra, and every other moment that they could get of Fox Marvel movies back in the day. But I really do want to say that we came a long way, people. You knew this movie was going to be good, right? You knew this movie was going to be fire. So we would never sit here. And even though there's a world of people who are like upset because they're like, oh, this is crazy that it's like we had to get this big budget crossover film. And it's like, yeah, so we needed this. This is what we go to the movies for, people. We don't pay to go to the movies for trash movies, even though it happens. We pay for this big type of stuff. Movies is already expensive as it is, people. Movies, a ticket is like $20 to $30. Food is like $40 to $50. It's like you're in a 5-star restaurant, but it's really like an AMC with some sticky floors. No disrespect to AMC, thanks for the movie pass. But what I'm saying is, if I'm paying this much, I want a fire movie. I want it to be firing on all cylinders. Get all the stars you can get to pull up. Just say 1 to 2 lines. Do something dope, and let's go. Story makes sense. Graphics is cool. I'm with all of it. But if I'm paying $50, $60 to go to the movies, even if it's by myself, or even if it's me and one other person, and we got to go Dutch, and the movie trash, what am I more mad at? I'm not mad at the movie being trash. I'm mad because I spent so much money on this movie being trash. So to come here and get laughs and excitement that you want to get in a comic book movie of all things, especially adaptation movie. When you do an adaptation movie, if it's as good as it can be to the source material, and if there's Easter eggs that you, being a fan of the series, knows, you in for a good time. Money well spent. You feel me? So we knew the movie was going to be good. I don't have to sit here and tell you the story. I don't have to sit here and tell you a lot of this stuff. There was fight scenes that were dope. Wolverine fighting Deadpool twice, fire, right? And Wolverine and Deadpool fighting an army of Deadpools, even more fire. Especially the way they did the scene. Wolverine putting on the mask, the classic Wolverine mask, fire. Small cameos from different Marvel heroes, past and present, fire. You knew all of this going in. But the biggest thing that you didn't know was that this was a love letter and a send-off to Fox movies. Fox movies, we salute you over here, Nerds in the Hood. Because even though majority of your movies was trash, hot trash, you tried your best to entertain us as best as you could. And I got laughs out of it. I remember I went to the theaters for Daredevil with Ben Affleck, and I was like, what the hell am I watching? But you gave me a black kingpin. Margaret Clark Duncan. God rest his soul. You gave me a black kingpin. I was never going to see that again, right? And the guy who's playing Kingpin now, Vincent, he's dope. But to give me a black Kingpin at that time, that was cool. Colin Farrell is Bullseye. I never miss all of that. That was cheesy, but it was funny, right? Jessica Alba is Invisible Woman. These were things. These were the A-list stars at the time, and they did what they had to do. And Ryan Reynolds was here for all of it because he was in Blade 3 way back in the early 2000s. He was in X-Men Origins Wolverine as Deadpool, and he was in, he even tried his hand at Green Lantern. So he was on both sides of the comic book fence. So to see a movie like that and to see him put all his work in to finally give us a dope movie, tie up his beef with Wesley Snipes and bring him in the movie. I didn't even know they had beef, but to tie the beef up, to patch things up, and just to make a good enough movie for old heads and new heads. That's all I can say, man. This is valid. Go see this movie. People online, stop spoiling the movie. And anybody else who got a problem with this movie, stop complaining. This is what we came to see a movie for. It was fire. That's all that matters. That's all I got to say about the matter. But make sure, as always, follow us at Nerds in the Hood. NERDZINTHEHOOD. There is a link tree in the description that you can check out and see more of what we have in store at Nerds in the Hood. Until then, it's your boy Marv Lat. I'll catch y'all next time. Peace. Thank you, Fox Films.